Have you ever noticed how your spirit seems slightly out of rhythm with a world that calls itself awake yet moves as if asleep? You walk into a room and the air shifts. You stay quiet and your silence speaks. You ache and no one sees it, yet something in the unseen reshapes around you. Perhaps you've wondered if you feel too much, too deep, too often. But what if those currents are not flaws to be corrected, but signals, royal insignias of a spiritual inheritance that has lived inside you since before your first breath? There is a reason your presence unsettles imitation and invites what is real. There is a reason your dreams are heavy with meanings you struggle to name. There is a reason your palms carry the silent alphabet of destiny, the letter M and the crescent moon. It is because the power that once slept in the halls of ancient memory is turning in its sleep and beginning to wake within you now. You did not find this message by chance. This message found you. It arrived like a line of light threading through centuries, a divine interception across the fabric of your day, reaching past routine to touch the part of you that remembers. The moment you pressed play, something older than language stirred. The scribe's breath on papyrus, a feather balanced on a heart, the geometry of truth arranging itself in your chest. That tingling along your spine, the sudden widening of awareness, that quiet certainty that something important is about to be revealed. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. This is Thoth, keeper of sacred order and living intelligence, letting his forgotten library reappear as a feeling inside your body. The whispers are not outside you. They are the pages turning within you. Long before you had a name, you were marked, not for spectacle or separation, but for remembrance. The signs on your hands are not accidents of biology. They are living sigils, coordinates to a temple that travels with you. When life tried to dress you in costumes that never fit, your energy resisted because your soul did not come to echo the noise of a sleeping world. It came bearing a key entrusted to the chosen to open the archive of a dormant power and let its wisdom breathe again. This power is neither superstition nor spectacle. It is clear, steady, and exact, like a compass that never lies. It will not flatter your ego, it will refine your essence. It will not erase your pain, it will transmute it. And when it awakens, it rearranges everything from the inside out, not as punishment, but as homecoming. Before we go further, let us make a simple, sacred agreement of presence. If your soul felt a vibration, even the smallest one, in these first seconds, it means the veil is thinning, and you are being called urgently, unmistakably. So pause, feel your breath, look within, and if you feel this is your moment, comment, "I feel it," below. That simple act will anchor you in this journey. And subscribe, because what we are about to unlock will not only change your perception, it will change your entire energetic field. You are not broken. You are encoded. You are not behind. You are hidden until now. And today, we begin the unveiling. There is a tenderness in this awakening that is fierce in its mercy. You will not be asked to become someone else. You will be asked to remember who you have always been. The fractures you carry are not proof that you failed. They are the places where light will enter first. The loneliness you felt among many was not exile. It was consecration. The betrayals that cut so cleanly were not the end. They were the beginning of clarity. Thoth's power does not arrive with thunder. It arrives with order. It teaches the law beneath all other laws. What you truly are is what your life answers to. The world hears the frequency of your field before it hears your words. Change the field and the story cannot help but change. This is not magic against reality. This is reality at last. You may have spent years trying to silence what you did not yet understand, burying whispers under busyness, hiding brilliance under politeness, wearing masks because it felt safer than standing in the open with your light visible. But the truth inside you did not die. It hibernated. It folded its wings and waited. Now as you listen, you can feel that folding begin to loosen. You notice patterns that repeat like old songs on distant radios. You sense rooms before you enter them. Your body reacts to what others do not notice. These are not quirks. They are instruments tuning themselves to a clearer pitch. The more you notice, the more the static thins. The more you honor what you feel, the more the library opens. You are not learning a new language. You are remembering your mother tongue. Understand this. Those marked to carry a sacred code are refined by silence, by patience, by fires that purify rather than consume. Every tear you thought was wasted watered a garden you could not yet see. Every delay pulled you from roads that would have cost you your soul. Every closed door kept your library safe until you were strong enough to guard it in the open. And now, right here, you are strong enough, not because you have no fear, but because you have chosen truth over its illusions. You do not need to perform. You do not need permission. You need only to be present, to intend with clarity, to allow what is real to organize what is still confused. This is how the dormant power of Thoth becomes visible in a human life. Not as spectacle to impress, but as order that heals, aligns, and endures. So let us begin with reverence and with courage. Breathe as if each breath is turning a page. Place your attention as if setting a jewel. You will discover why the world felt loud and why your soul stayed quiet. You will see the difference between heavy rooms and holy ones, between voices that drain and voices that bless, between the mind that argues and the wisdom that simply is. You will learn the gentle severity of boundaries and the generous discipline of love. Above all, you will feel your energy field, your invisible architecture, shifting from scattered to sovereign, not someday. Now, and as this veil thins and the pages open, we will step into the first chamber of remembrance, where Thoth's teaching becomes practical and your life begins to respond. There is an unseen space that surrounds you, moves with you, and speaks for you before you speak. It is the quiet law shaping what finds you and what fades. If you are ready, we will enter it next and learn how the field answers to the one who finally remembers their name. Imagine a space with no walls, no ceiling, no visible border, and yet it moves with you as faithfully as your own shadow. It expands when your courage expands, it tightens when your fear tightens, it brightens when your truth stands upright. This is your field, the invisible architecture that Thoth taught to the wise and hid in plain sight for the chosen. Before a single word leaves your lips, the field speaks on your behalf. It announces what you truly believe, not what you merely desire. It declares your inner posture to a world that listens more carefully than it pretends, because reality is not deaf. It is exquisitely tuned to resonance. Thoth's power does not arrive as superstition or spectacle. It arrives as order. It reveals the law beneath all noise. You do not attract what you want. You organize what you are. The field is the accountant of that truth. It tallies the frequencies that live in your breath. The story you tell yourself before bed. The memory you repeat without knowing. The tenderness you withhold because tenderness once cost you. It contains the sediment of childhood sentences and ancestral sighs. It carries the echoes of rooms where you learned to be small. None of this condemns you. It simply explains why doors swing open for some and close for others, why certain faces return again and again wearing new names, why opportunities hover at arm's length as if held by an unseen, unspoken permission you have not yet given yourself. The chosen are not spared the programming of the world. They are refined by walking through it awake. Your field has learned many songs it never meant to sing. Notes of scarcity, chords of self-doubt, refrains of almost. From parents who were doing their best yet bleeding from their own unhealed places, from teachers who formed you to fit their boxes, from cultures that preached fear in the garment of caution and called it wisdom. These melodies did not originate in your soul, but the field recorded them like a dutiful scribe. And because resonance is precise, life kept returning the music it heard. The relationship that mirrored your earliest ache. The job that praised your usefulness but starved your essence. The friendships where your light paid the bill for everyone at the table. None of this was random. It was architecture echoing its blueprint. Now the awakening of Thoth does what awakenings do. It turns on the interior lamps so you can see the room you have been living in. You begin to notice the distance between what you say you are and what your field says on your behalf. You hear yourself offer generosity while your chest tightens with the memory of being taken. You watch your mouth form the words "I'm fine" while your spine leans forward as if chasing approval across a cliff. You recognize that wanting is a whisper compared to the thunder of being. And here in this precise recognition, the dormant power opens its first book. Thoth teaches the field is not a verdict. It is a ledger. What was inscribed can be rewritten. Recalibration begins where pretense ends. No more bargaining with yourself. No more decorating fear with pretty language. You sit at the table of your own honesty and you name what lives in the field. I am carrying scarcity that is not mine. I'm repeating their doubt with my voice. I am wearing silence like armor and calling it peace. As the words come, the ledger clears. The field is loyal to truth. It responds to clarity like a desert responds to rain. You will not wrestle your field into holiness. You will reveal it. You will not bully yourself into light. You will stop lying in small ways and watch how the architecture immediately rearranges. A single clean no, spoken without apology, can accomplish more than 100 anxious affirmations said with your breath held. Thoth's order is mercifully practical. Presence anchors the field. Intention directs it. Presence means your soul actually sits in the chair your body occupies. It means the past does not negotiate your next sentence and the future does not borrow your oxygen. It is not passivity, it is total contact with now. In presence, the field condenses around your essence and stops leaking into every hungry mouth that calls your name. Only then does intention carry royal weight. Intention without presence is wishful thinking. Intention with presence is decree. When you place your hand on your heart, not as performance, but as priesthood, and breathe until your ribs remember how to open, the field hears a command older than language: stabilize. When you speak a sentence that is aligned with your deepest knowing, I allow only what blesses my becoming, the field does not debate. It obeys order. Not every wound leaves blood, and not every theft leaves fingerprints. You have felt it. You enter a room and the light inside you dims a shade. A conversation ends and a weight settles on your chest, as if you ran a race you never agreed to run. You scroll for a few minutes, and a quiet fog spreads through your mind, as though your attention were a sacrament poured out on an altar that gives nothing back. This is not your imagination. This is the mechanics of leakage. Energy moves, adheres, borrows, and clings. It obeys resonance whether or not anyone is conscious of it. Those who carry Thoth's imprint, those marked to restore order, often shine with a coherence that the starving mistake for a public well. They do not come with malice so much as with emptiness. They have forgotten their source and reach instinctively for yours. Thoth does not teach paranoia. He teaches precision. The first precision is naming what happens without fantasy. The body knows. It shorts your breath around certain voices. It tightens your jaw when charm hides chaos. It slumps when a room demands a performance you no longer owe. Believe the body. It is the scribe that never lies. The second precision is refusing to purchase peace with self-abandonment. You do not need to explain your no in paragraphs. You do not need to prove your boundaries are holy. A boundary is not a wall against love. It is the architecture that allows love to live without drowning. Without boundaries, you do not offer compassion. You offer a leaking field and call it kindness. And the invoice arrives as fatigue, resentment, and confusion. Raise the staff of Thoth inside your chest. Not a weapon, but a measure. Let it touch every interaction and read the room with calm authority. When your shoulder begins to cave inward, straighten your spine as if placing that staff along it. When words pull you into endless fixing, let your tongue rest against the roof of your mouth and feel the breath slow. When eyes plead for you to carry what is not yours, place your palm over your heart and silently decree, I return what is not mine with love, and I call back my power with order. This is not aggression. It is alignment. Energy obeys clear instruction. The field will release what it holds for others and retrieve what it scattered in the name of being nice. Nice is a costume. Order is a frequency. You will be tested by familiar diets of chaos. A friend who thrives only when you shrink. A family thread that confuses access with intimacy. A digital feed that manufactures urgency to harvest your nervous system. Thoth's teaching is simple and severe. If it costs your clarity, it is too expensive. Choose one small fidelity at a time. End the call when your chest tightens. Excuse yourself from the conversation that circles your worth like vultures. Unfollow the carnival of outrage that steals your morning light. Watch what happens to your baseline when you guard the first 15 minutes after waking as sacred ground. The ledger in your field updates instantly. You are not punishing anyone. You are ceasing to subsidize disorder. Do not confuse boundaries with bitterness. Bitterness is a crust over an ungrieved loss. Boundaries are stewardship of life. You can bless a person and still bar their access to your interior. You can forgive a history and still refuse to reenact it. You can love widely while being poor as nowhere. When guilt rises, as it will, remember that guilt is often the alarm of an old role being retired. Thank it for its service and let it go. This is how you stop teaching others that your light is a public utility. This is how you teach your own nervous system that safety is available without shrinking. In time, people who come to drink will leave thirsty, not because you are cruel, but because your fountain now runs on agreements they have not kept with themselves. Protection is not only avoidance, it is also presence. When you fully occupy your body, leakage diminishes. When you speak one clean sentence from your center, grasping unhooks. When you breathe into the space behind your heart and feel the weight of your attention settle, the field condenses and becomes less edible to wandering hungers. You are not required to harden. You are invited to cohere. Coherence is the true shield. It repels what is false without noise and attracts what is congruent without effort. This is the quiet majesty of order. It does not shout to be respected. It simply makes misuse impossible. There will be grief in this rising. You will miss the versions of you that bought belonging with exhaustion. You will mourn the intimacy that was really dependency in religious clothing. Let it move through. Every tear clears a contract. Every breath closes a leak. Every honest no builds a room where your yes can be a sacrament again. This is not withdrawal from the world. It is the only way to be truly in it, present enough to bless, ordered enough to endure, bright enough to guide without burning out. And when the cup stops spilling, something extraordinary becomes possible. The staff gives way to the book. Boundaries create the silence in which command can be heard. In that silence, the two forces Thoth guarded for ages begin to operate as one sovereign current. Presence becomes your throne. Intention becomes your decree. In the next chamber, we will open that book and practice the royal language that parts veils, how to seat your awareness in the now, and how to speak a single sentence that the field cannot ignore. When the leaks close and the room grows quiet, you begin to hear the language beneath all language. It is not dramatic, and yet it moves mountains. Thoth called it the royal code, presence as the throne, intention as the decree. Presence is not simply being still. It is the audacity to inhabit your life without splitting from yourself. It is your soul sitting all the way down in your body, feet on the ground, breath unhidden, attention gathered like a cloak around your ribs. In presence, the past is relieved of its post as your decision-maker, and the future is asked to stop borrowing your breath. You become fully available to the only doorway reality recognizes now. Without this throne, even the most beautiful intention collapses into wishing. With it, a single quiet sentence becomes architecture. Notice how your field answers when you return to yourself. The edges thicken, the noise thins, and choices that once felt like riddles turn into simple alignments. Presence has a weight, but it is not heavy. It is a gravity that pulls scattered parts back into orbit. Your eyes soften. Your shoulders lower by a fraction. The mind stops rehearsing and starts witnessing. In that exact stillness, intention ceases to be a plea and becomes command. Intention is not strain or force. It is clarity expressed without apology. It names what is congruent with your essence and invites reality to organize accordingly. It does not bargain. It does not rush. It does not perform. It speaks once from the center, and the field reorganizes as if iron filings had finally met the magnet. Begin as the ancients began, with breath as the herald. Sit where you are and let the inhale arrive without dragging it by the collar. Let the exhale leave without throwing it out. Feel the tongue resting gently against the palate, the heart's door widening by degrees you can actually sense. Bring a hand to your chest, not as a gesture to look spiritual, but as a priestly act of occupancy. When your palm meets your sternum, you're signing back in. Thought will try to negotiate. Thank it and return to sensation. The body will tremble or warm or grow quiet. Greet whatever comes without commentary. Presence is not a mood to nail down. It is a room you keep re-entering. Each return thickens the walls. From this throne speak as one who remembers their lineage. Say less and mean more. Choose one sentence that fits you like a ring, not a costume. Perhaps it is as simple as, I stabilize in truth. Perhaps it is, only what blesses my becoming may remain. Perhaps it is your own language that rises from a depth you cannot trace. The sentence is not magic because of its poetry. It is effective because it is honest. You're not trying to hypnotize the universe. You are declaring alignment. After the decree, do not check the door every minute to see if reality obeyed. Hold your post. Move as if it is already true, not with arrogance but with fidelity. Pay attention to how you answer calls, how you spend the first light of morning, how you touch your work. Intention that does not reach your calendar is a rumor. Intention that touches your posture becomes law. You will be tempted to outsource this code to objects and elaborate rites. Use tools if they help you remember, water, sound, color, crystal, but do not hand them your crown. A glass of water becomes living when you meet it with presence and give it a job with intention. Not because the glass owns power, but because you do. A tone sung into the room will reorganize the field when your awareness is seated behind the voice. Light and hue can tune you when your gaze is not scattered. All of these are faithful servants. None are sovereigns. Thoth hid the throne in the one place no temple robber could reach, your attention. Guard it as you would guard a child. Consistency matters more than intensity. 5 sincere breaths taken in the doorway before you enter a demanding room will alter outcomes more than 30 frantic affirmations shouted at a mirror you don't inhabit. One clean boundary held without dramatics is a decree that resets a relationship's geometry. A single act done in full presence, writing the line that scares you because it is true, making the meal that reminds your body it is safe to be fed, carries a frequency that lingers and keeps working long after the moment passes. The ledger of your field records each fidelity and updates your reality without spectacle. This is how order enters a life, steadily like dawn. Of course, tests arrive here too. The old current will try to pull you into hurry, into fixing, into proving. You'll hear urgency knocking, wearing the mask of importance. Remember, presence is the refusal to abandon yourself for noise. Pause for one breath longer than you did last week.
Let silence answer first.
When you feel the clutch of fear, do not argue. Place your hand on your heart and return to the throne. When you sense a sentence rising that bends you away from truth, let your mouth close and your spine lengthen. Your stillness is not absence. It is governance. The field learns fast. It will stop translating panic as instruction and begin translating coherence as law. As you keep this throne and speak these decrees, something tender and formidable awakens. Your body starts to trust you. The heartbeat steadies under your palm. The jaw unlocks. The gut unties a knot you have carried since a voice told you that wanting was dangerous. This is the threshold where the code becomes flesh, where presence is not just a state but a home, where intention becomes not words but movement. And here the next chamber opens naturally, because the temple of this work has always been the body itself. Thoth's wisdom is not meant to live only in air. It must write itself into muscle and fascia, breath and bone. If you are ready to let the archive descend from idea into incarnation, we will step into the body temple next, and practice the somatic alchemy that turns stored sorrow into flow and makes your field radiant by design. There is a room in you that never forgot the ancient lessons, a chamber beneath language where the ink is breath and the parchment is bone. Thoth did not entrust his wisdom only to scrolls. He etched it into the tissues so that when memory failed, sensation could still lead you home. Your body is not a machine to be managed, but a temple that speaks in tides, tightness, heat, trembling, ache, thaw. Each signal is a hieroglyph. The knot in your throat is a sentence you never allowed to live. The weight on your shoulders is duty you agreed to in fear. The pressure in your chest is love that was asked to shrink until it forgot its own name. When you treat these signs as glitches, you fight the scribe. When you meet them with reverence, you let the scribe finish the story, begin where truth can be felt and not only understood. Sit as if you are taking your rightful seat in a sanctuary that recognizes you. Place one hand over the heart and one over the navel, not as performance but as priesthood. Breathe without decoration. The first breaths feel ordinary. Keep going until you sense the ribs moving like doors on oiled hinges, until the spine remembers it is a staff and not a question mark. If tears come, let them travel the path they have begged for. If trembling arrives, do not censor it. Trembling is frost leaving old fields. If heat blooms, bow to it. Heat is the forge where old contracts melt. This is not theatrics. This is the physics of release. Stagnant currents converting back into flow. Let the jaw loosen like a gate unlatched at dusk. Let the tongue rest where the palate meets purpose. Soften the belly until it rounds with trust rather than hardens with vigilance. These small mercies are architecture. The field listens to posture. When the body believes it is safe to open, attention can descend from a spinning mind into the chambers where Thoth's geometry lives. Invite micro-movements, a slow sway that massages the fascia awake, a figure 8 that teaches the hips how to carry you without bracing, a gentle shaking through the limbs that dislodges what words could not reach. You are not doing a technique, you are letting the archive self-organize. The more honestly you inhabit sensation, the more quickly the ledger updates and the story of you stops borrowing pages from pain. Touch is scripture. Lay your palm over the place that speaks the loudest and stay, not to fix, but to witness. Whisper a single sentence the tissue can trust, I hear you. The body believes what is repeated with presence more than what is shouted in panic. You will notice the ache change shape, the breath lengthen by a fraction, the mind quiet as if soothed by a lullaby it knew before it had a name. Humming here is not childish, it is medicine. A simple tone vibrated through the sternum sends order into chaos like a tuning fork entering a crowded room. Water is covenant. Drink slowly and imagine it taking the new instruction into cells that once marched to a harsher drum. Walk after, not to burn calories but to escort the liberated current through pathways that used to be checkpoints. There will be days when the temple feels noisy, when old alarms ring as if the past had a key to your door. Meet them with rhythm instead of resistance. 10 breaths lying on the floor with your calves on a chair. 3 minutes of shaking with knees soft until laughter chases grief from the corners. 2 songs of unperformed dancing in a room no one else has earned the right to enter. A long child's pose with the forehead on earth, asking the ground to carry what your spine has carried alone. These acts are not indulgences. They are tithes to the altar that carries you. As you keep paying them, a remarkable trust forms. Your body begins to believe you will not abandon it at the first sign of feeling. That trust is the hinge upon which the next door swings. Do not fear the memories that surface. Sensation will unspool images and phrases you have stored like artifacts. Hold them without litigating them. You are not building a case. You are liberating a witness. If anger rises, let the fist clench around a pillow and release. If grief floods, let it write rivers into your throat. If numbness persists, court it gently. Numbness is not absence, but a guardian who worked overtime. Thank it, promise it rest, and continue with care. In this school, there are no gold stars for speed. Only fidelities counted in breaths and the quiet astonishment of realizing that what hurt for years can soften in minutes when finally met. As the tissues unwind, your field starts to gleam with a coherence you can feel in your gait. Rooms treat you differently because you carry yourself differently. Choices require less argument and more listening. Boundaries stop scratching like wool and begin fitting like linen. The temple teaches the scribe, and the scribe edits the temple. Body and field revise each other until they share a single grammar. This is the somatic theology of Thoth. Order in the flesh, so that spirit has somewhere honest to live. The result is not showy. It is unmistakable. Your presence rests. Your voice warms. Your mind stops sprinting ahead of your breath. You become easy to be around, even for yourself. And when this ease roots, a higher current can finally take its throne without burning the circuits, an ancient frequency that dissolves shadow without a fight and stitches what words cannot mend. It has been moving toward you since the first page turned, waiting for the temple to open and the field to steady. In the next chamber, we do not discuss it as an idea. We let it work as law. Prepare your breath and clear a small place in your day. We are about to enter the supreme resonance Thoth guarded for the chosen, the organizing force that makes every other practice simple. Love as order, love as intelligence, love made flesh. You have walked through what matters, the field that answers to who you are, the boundaries that end the quiet theft of your light, the royal code of presence and intention, and the body temple where memory becomes flow. Thoth's order has revealed itself not as spectacle but as steady law. What slept in you did not arrive to overwhelm, it arrived to inhabit. Not to turn you into someone else, but to restore the one who was marked long before the world asked you to shrink. Where there was static, there is signal. Where there were leaks, there are gates. Where there was hurry, there is throne. Where a body carried histories it could not name, there is a temple receiving breath like scripture. This is awakening for the chosen, not borrowed fireworks, but life reorganized around what is true. Your presence now has weight, the kind that calms rooms, clarifies choices, and attracts only what can bless your becoming. Not by force, but by resonance. Remember the mercies that sustain this. You do not need perfection to be powerful. One honest boundary can revise years of self-abandonment. 5 slow breaths with your hand on your heart can quiet storms arguments never could. A glass of water blessed with clear intention can carry your decree farther than a day spent in other people's noise. Small fidelities compound. Reality listens. The ledger updates. Tests will still knock, sometimes wearing new costumes. Meet them without drama. Presence first. Breath first. If it costs your clarity, it is too expensive. Keep your crown where Thoth hid it, inside your attention, and let your words be few and clean. Protection is not armor. It is coherence. Love, walking with order, dissolves shadow without a fight and turns effort into flow. Let this be your daily liturgy. Presence as throne, intention as decree, body as temple, love as law. Hold to these and the field will continue to reorganize in your favor, not as superstition but as physics. You were never behind. You were hidden until the time ripened. That time is now. If this message met you at the right moment, subscribe so you do not miss the next chapter, where we open the living cipher of the M and the Crescent and translate them into timing, choices and mission in the visible world. Turn on notifications and come back with a steady breath. The archive is vast and your assignment is waiting.